I keep trying to do this story and it's so hard. I don't know why. It's just draining the energy out of me. So the soccer coach is guilty as heck, I guess, and he got arrested. And they just interviewed the boy who the original case, the one case. I guess there's another case too. Came out in 2024, and he talks about how he gave him orange juice, and then he got really tired, and they tested him, and they found some foreign substance, but I guess they don't know what it is. It could be anything, you guys. I don't know. I don't know if it's like if they gave him Benadryl, would it show up? Would they understand it's Benadryl? I would almost think it would, but maybe not right away at the emergency room. Because I had an incident too myself. There was a lot of weird stuff in this. And it was the cops that thought it was hilarious. And then they didn't ask questions. There was a lot of stuff in this. So I was saying whose fault it was. So then now the kid is talking kind of anonymously in this video, and it's kind of good that he's explaining what happened, because I feel that when it happens to boys too, that they're hearing like what was the problem. Like he's saying, oh, I went over and then I wake up and then some weird thing and they gave me a drink and I got really tired. Like when it happened to me with the drink things and stuff, like it was hard to know like what that was, or you may not associate it with somebody just drugged you. And I don't think these conversations are even being had even with really young kids. And for it to happen, I don't even know if I would understand like what happened. Like, oh, I just got really tired. They gave me orange juice and then I knocked out. I don't know. Weird, right? But you wouldn't know what to associate it to. So apparently that happened. I was thinking maybe they put vodka in it, but they were saying some unknown drug, something. He did something. And then so the kid falls asleep. He wakes up and he's laughing about it, saying it's just jokes. It's just jokes. There you go. There's the frat house thing. That's what I'm saying. The just joke thing is the perpetrator. So, yeah, it wasn't jokes when we were kids either. So when I'm talking about the hindsights and all the weird things, I was like, yeah, that's the actual mentality though. So the boy's talking, and then he said he woke up with his pants backwards, some weird thing, and he's like, how do you want me to act? So I called the police, and then they did nothing. They basically just said it was going to be an open case. It's like, why would it be an open case though? So yeah, but I was saying that the law enforcement have always been pro this conduct. They didn't care about this conduct. They think that type of conduct right there is not a big deal. And yeah, it's unfortunate. And it is, you do have survivor's guilt, because mostly when it happens to other people, but I think it would be even worse if you find out your other victims of the same person that you had, ends up dead, because it's scary. It's like, this whole other thing to it. We've had a lot of cases, like, I mean, just a bunch of perpetrators in our things where it's just like, you feel more lucky because of this, but you're really not lucky at all because you still ran across them. But apparently, like, this guy was just preying on tons of kids, and he's having them over, and he's getting close to them, and I guess maybe even their family. And then he starts doing stuff like this. And he's been obviously operating this way more than likely since a teenager. I was talking online about it, and I was saying there's no way in hell that he just started doing that at 40. He would have been showing that in school. Like, we're talking about it. I go, those are all the conduct that everybody's like, oh, boys will be boys. Oh, when a guy does this to you, it means he's flirting. This is what they used to tell us when we were kids, and just to let it be. And it just is a way of a boy flirting with you. I'm dead serious. This was told to me. I don't think it was from my mom. It was, shoot, I can't even remember who said it. But I just remember it being said quite a bit, actually, from a lot of people. And I was like, that's insane. So when the boys being violent and weird stuff, they were trying to minimize it and saying, oh, that just means the boy likes you. I'm like, wow, I would hope that somebody who likes me isn't violent towards me, or does evil things. But apparently we're supposed to take that as flirting. Yeah, but it was that conduct right there. So they basically, it's neglect, right? It's a portion of neglect where they just let the boy act out in that way, and they just let it be. And then they enable it and sometimes encourages it. And then So it was seen as normal. So as you're seeing now, it's like decades later. And then, something really bad had to happen before this even came to a close. But that's been pretty common. It's been pretty common. We can go back. There were so many stories. So yeah, I was saying it was really hard to cover it because it's just it's kind of I wouldn't say a fast moving story, but there was some new stuff in it. And I was trying to get the details because they were questioning, people in the comments were questioning if he was a real coach and was he with the school. Apparently he was with some type of organization, and then which kind of legitimized him, which it shouldn't have, but yeah, something like that. But I don't think it's with the school. I think it was with the soccer club, like some weird thing. But another thing, somebody was posting misinformation, and it was actually not accurate, and I was trying to correct it, and a couple people were doing it, and I don't know why. I don't know what the purpose is of it, or they just read something wrong. So no, the family knew where he was going initially. It was the part where they were saying they didn't want him to go was the checks that were not even from him. So they were saying he was going to a party, and they said, hell no, we didn't say you could do that. Now, those texts more than likely are from the perpetrator because the boy was more than likely not alive at that time. And so he used the boy's phone and checks it out a story to make it seem like he took off somewhere else, okay? And something else happened somewhere else. Yeah, so they were able to interview the other victim. John explained while the coach was distant at first, the 41-year-old eventually warmed up to him and often brought him drinks and food. When his family was going through a turmoil in 2024, the then 16-year-old decided to move in with Garcia in Silmar, then later in Palmdale with his dad's consent, despite his mom's opposition. Believe it or not, some of this stuff kind of comes in, was similar in the Corey Feldman story, like, just to bring that up again, it's just because there were some weird things with the parents and them with adult men. And it was quite overlooked. So as I was going through more research and stuff, like I was saying, the Christians had promoted male mentorship throughout these decades, mostly when this guy was a kid. And they just ignored that any of this ever happened, pretty much. And they handed off their kids any adult. And it came up also with Justin Bieber and stuff, where people were questioning like why the mom did that. But I was trying to explain that at that time period, Christians heavily promoted male mentorship because they were pushing that boys should always have a father bullshit. And so therefore any random stranger will make a good daddy for a random boy. And then they ended up molesting all the kids, basically. So Christians kind of set up sons for that. And they kept saying, oh, boys can't be raped. And then all these conducts were going on. So nobody's even alert. Like, they don't care. Basically, they don't even care. So it's kind of that thing. And then I was saying also in other cultures, they were very much into handing their kids to anybody. They were saying too trustworthy. I was like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. You could have anybody be a predator and then they hand their kids to them and they don't think twice about it. And it could be family members. It could be anybody. But this sort of thing is crazy. I would never you have to look at the 16-year-old boy as you would a 16-year-old girl. And this is the state of California. So at no time should some 16-year-old boy be randomly tossed up with the adult man. So same thing, right? So you could even look at this guy as P. Diddy. You could look at this guy as Michael Jackson. You could look at this guy as any other person. Just switch through, the adult. And the parents here just sent off their minor to a random adult. Yeah, so parents need to... there's a lot to say about this topic. There's a lot of strong opinions on the topic, too, as I was going through it. I guess she got some sort of weird... Okay, wait. When his family was going through turmoil in 2024, the then 16-year-old decided to move in with Garcia in Silmar, then later in Palmdale with his dad's consent, despite his mom's opposition. So daddy don't care and got his son harmed. And mom's like, oh no. Okay, so I guess she got some sort of weird vibe off him. Well, your mom is like sane probably, and she's like, that is, you should never send my son off to any weird guy's house. And one day, while John was spending time with Garcia at his home, the coach handed him a glass of orange juice, which made him sleepy tired. It could be anything. It could be an over-the-counter. It could be a prescription drug that he did. After living with the coach and his son for more than a year, one night, John said he was awakened by unsettling feelings. He tried pulling down my shorts, and I woke up and I punched him. And that's probably what happened with this other kid too, where it's just like he started to get into a brawl. I don't know what happened or how the manner of death is, but yeah. John recalled the event in February 2024. Then he told me it was all a joke. And I'm so glad you're saying the comment, because it's exactly what I'm talking about. The mindset. It's just jokes. They know it's not a joke. He's being a predator, but he's trying to minimize the conduct. But that's that. John said when he went back to sleep, he felt the coach was trying to pull down his shorts again. Yeah. I was freaking out and I didn't know what to do, and I saw my shorts on backwards. The teen eventually called his mom, and LA County Sheriff's deputies who conducted a test to confirm there were drugs in John's system. And he should have been arrested right away because he's with an adult, and all of a sudden this kid has drugs in his system. This is like that other sleepover party with all the women and that one guy. I did a story on it a long time ago. It was kind of like that, and I think the guy did get arrested, and then he also harmed his own kids. John showed up at the hospital discharge paperwork showing the emergency room doctor's diagnosis of sexual assault of an adolescent, positive urine screen for an unspecified drug, and see, we don't know what that is. I don't know why they don't know what it is, but, and toxic, and that word, meaning impaired brain function. I don't know what that means, because of the drug, or the kid, somebody needs to explain that to me, because when they said it on the thing, I was like, wait, John said he was unaware of any further investigation by the gangbanger sheriffs, right? Looking back, John thought Garcia was trying to isolate him from other teenagers. He didn't want me to play with other kids. I think that's more telling than somebody, obviously people are talking about, there's a bunch of coaches out here that love kids and they want to help them coach and everything, and they're not interested in harming some kids, right? I think one of the more one of the more bigger flags in the story is when they start to try to isolate you from your peers. And with me, that happened, right? So I wasn't really around a bunch of my friends. At a point when I moved out here and stuff, it's like a full-blown isolation from everything I know, and it's like a bunch of adults. And then it went crazy. All these men, they're a bunch of child predators. So, yeah, he didn't want me to play with other kids. Yeah. So he's saying he no longer trusts people. That was the crazy thing with the boys club thing too, because the whole setup was to remove kids from their peers and hang out with an adult male for no F reason. And they said they're not acting as a father. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, so you're forcing kids to be with adult men, and the adult men are looking for boyfriends or somebody to prey on, obviously. And they were like, oh, they're not kids to me. They're my peers. I go, no, they're not peers. They're kids, and the kids should be hanging out with other kids their age, right? So it wasn't even in the place of a father. They made that clear, and I was like, yeah, it means you all knew that you were trying to set up and hook up kids with adult men. That's disgusting. So it's kind of the same thing, right? So he doesn't want them to be with other kids. Yeah, they kind of single them out, and that's why they all got harmed. Despite reporting him in 2024, it took more than a year for John to know he was finally charged, right? Knowing what happened, it feels like I got ignored. Like, if I wasn't a human being, they just left it open and then they got a teenage boy getting killed. Yes, yes. Oh, okay. So when the report opened, they said it was open until March, about a week before this new case happened. And I'm just like, yeah, why does it need to take a year? Like, it doesn't need to take the full year to do the investigation. But they weren't planning on doing anything at all, is what happened. And he only got in trouble only because, or they only brought in this case because the other kid died. If the other kid didn't die, they don't think that rape is a problem. America's founded on raping kids. That's just the fact of the matter. We did the history. We went through the history. Little boys had no protection almost at all. And so as we're doing the research on this, yeah, America was always into raping kids. They were always into raping little boys. They were always into all these things. So the laws on the book are laws from Christians that we are supposed to change. So we're trying to change those. They keep wanting to bring it down to the lowest number so they can get away with as much as they can. And then so you don't call them a bunch of pretos, right? So we have that problem, but also the way they view this generally and other conduct that they do. Can you imagine? I mean, back in the Michael Jackson time, that how many people, they still have people, looking at that as being fine. I mean, there was nothing fine about it. It's insane how many kids were being sexually abused at home in order to justify and see that as a normal thing. So just think of it that way. It's the perception. The perception is that way because somebody be getting touched in their home or by somebody else that normalized that conduct as being totally fine. There was nothing fine about it. And they also disregard the victims as a human when they speak of it, and they speak for the perpetrator like he could do what he wants to do. It's what he wanted to do, and that's what he wanted to do, and this is his mindset, and that's what he did, versus what the effects are on the victims themselves from the conduct that he did. Regardless if you want to view it as it wasn't sexual or it was sexual, because the mindset doesn't matter. It's about the conduct that happened to the victim. He could sit there and say it was all jokes. He could sit there and say it was all these things. That's for a later part in court for them to figure out, like, the reasons why they did it. But you need to look at it as the effects on the other human of what they did, not the mindset of why they did it. It's that the victim is harmed, so it doesn't matter what your mindset was harming somebody else. It's that somebody else got harmed because of your actions. So the second half of it is why they did it, and you could go on this whole thing about why they did it. It goes well with the Michael Jackson case. I was just saying, because they're talking about sleepovers. Yeah, I mean, that's quite a topic. I guess I wouldn't let my kid, like if I had some kids, I don't think I would do the sleepovers anymore. I used to think there was nothing wrong with them. Like, I'm kind of freaked out now. I'm like, how many times did this happen with people? If you came over to our house, you would probably get the horror show of like a killer in the dark. Like that would be the game. But I don't think anything further happened. But yeah, because my dad was into like pretending he's a serial killer or something in the house and would turn off the lights and then chase us around. Yeah, so you probably would get something like that. But beyond that, these stories that I'm reading with parents, like taking other people's kids and drugging them up and doing stuff is absolutely outrageous to me. Like, I'm having a hard time comprehending, because that's a pretty brazen mindset. And the reason being is because it's not like a random crime, like you're at a club and nobody knows you and you think you could get away with it. It's that people are trusting their children at your house. So if anything happens at your house, you're going to be busted. Like, it's a harder thing to get around. And there's these perpetrators doing it. I mean, that's how that they don't have fear. Like, the fear level is so low with these socios. It's crazy. I would never do that. For one, I don't have a desire to do that. But two, like, it's like, like you're going to get caught doing something like that, right? The average person, like, if you were even to think of trying to do some bullshit, like, you would be caught right away. You would assume you would be, because it would be most obvious that you did something because you're the one watching the kid, right? But these guys, the difference in the spectrum is that their fear levels are so low, like they don't care. It really, it's like, oh, I'll figure out something to make up a story here, and something, something, something. It's like, and also a lot of them are very impulsive. So it's just like, they just make up things as they go, but they don't really care. It's just because they already know they're going to do it. You have to think of the mindset of this monster before the kid came over. Oh, I want him over here because I want to get with that kid. So this is the mindset before the kid even comes over. And so he's like talking with parents or whoever. Like, they're that confident. It's so crazy, but put your mind there. Just try to put yourself in the place of this perpetrator, of how their scrambled egg brain operates. It's mind-blowing, and that's how you, I mean, if you don't see a problem with it, then you obviously are on the spectrum of that dude. But I would hope that most of us are not on that spectrum of that dude, that far off, because you sit there and you could think about it and you're just like, wow, that is something else, it's something else. But and then you get into that mindset to try to understand it, because it's like, I'm that brave, I don't care. And that's the mindset they go on. And then he goes and does stuff like that. It's just like, we'll just dump him off on the side of a freeway. I mean, he doesn't even have care about the victim. Like, these things happen. So it's not even like, oops, just none. Everybody's a pawn. They're garbage. They throw them out. Like, this is the typical mindset of them beyond being a rapist. This is them in life, okay? Them in life. We toss people in the garbage. We don't care. We have no connection to other humans. That's them.